As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Business Zone. It's Friday, April 20th. The month went by super fast. Today I'm in the studio. Gilbert is out doing some certification training in Las Vegas. So I am happy to have my guest co-host today, Miss Dawn Strozier. Dawn and I go back a little bit. She's my friend. She's a sweetheart. She's also her own radio personality at, what's the radio station?
AccelerateRadio.net.
So,
home of Kevin Nash.
All right. So she's with the Kevin Nash guys. Yes. And a radio studio. So she graciously accepted my offer for her
Absolutely.
to come and keep me company today.
Any opportunity. Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Any opportunity I get to hang out with my friend who's making money moves.
Hopefully we all going to make some money moves.
Over here at the Business Zone, I'm really excited. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to have you. We're so glad to have you. So now, Dawn, she's a celebrity fitness trainer. Now, and she takes this to a whole nother holistic level. So, sometimes you go to some people and they're about to exercise, but they haven't just like really engulfed themselves into it. And Miss Dawn this is your life, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love what I do. I think I was born to exercise.
There's a lot.
There are only a couple things I think that I was born to do. And I love the Word of God. I love learning. I love sharing the good news of the gospel. And then it's that and it's exercising.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
It's exercising because a lot of people can't do and that's it. That's the hard thing is getting that commitment, right?
I enjoy helping people, first of all.
Yeah.
I enjoy helping people. And I think that the discipline that exercise creates in your life to watch it spill over into other areas, it's pretty fun.
And it does that.
Yeah, it does that. It creates, yes, like anything else you can do. I think that exercise, and once you get it, once you figure it out, and it just rolls over, all that discipline and structure starts to show up in your career. It shows up in your work ethic and just other areas. And I think that is absolutely phenomenal.
Now, do you think, because I know for me, it's a my commitment is that I, every Monday through Friday, well, actually, I dance Monday through Thursday, and I get really upset when I can't go to my workout because my business kind of infringes. But that's my commitment, right? That's my commitment to myself.
Absolutely. That's when you get it. When you miss exercising, that's when you've made this thing a lifestyle. So that's the goal, is to make implementing exercise into your daily routine. Get it to the point where when you don't do it, you miss it. That's when you know you've arrived. It's a part of who you are. You need those good endorphins to take over.
Right,
and when they don't, you're off balance. Something isn't
right. Everything all thrown off when I don't get to go. So how do you I know how it happened for me, and I know you train other individuals, and that's a tough thing for them to get committed to a daily routine of eating right and physically moving their body. What are some of your techniques for getting them engaged like that?
Well, first of all, we have to just look at, I take a look at your lifestyle, what your daily routine is like. And I'm a firm believer in fitting exercise. When you first start off, just fit it in where it can. Okay. Most people ask me when's the best time to work out. I think the best time when you're initially getting started is whenever it fits into your schedule. So I try to tell my clients you got two ways of winning a day. You can win by exercise when you miss exercise, and you can win by proper diet and nutrition. Okay. So once I get them hooked onto that, then we can create other steps to making it a lifestyle. But getting to the gym, whether it's in the morning or in the evening, and making great diet choices every single day. When I can get them in the routine of that, then they'll start missing it when they don't do it. When they eat something unhealthy, they feel guilty. When they miss the gym, they're feeling guilty. Because people will do a lot for how they feel first.
Right.
That happens before the looks change.
Right.
So if I get you to be excited about the way health feels, feeling
now is that something
yes.
challenging?
Yeah, when you start loving the good endorphins that take place from exercise.
Yeah, see, that's what it is for me.
When you get that, when you exercise long enough and on a regular basis to start feeling that high.
Right.
When you don't get it, you're off balance.
Right.
So whether I can get you to the gym in the morning, in the afternoon, the middle of the day, if I can just get you to the gym, then you'll get the experience of, oh gosh, I'm off balance today.
Right.
And when you're tired at 5 o'clock in the afternoon from a long day that started maybe at 6 or 5 a.m.,
right.
you're still getting to the gym because you're chasing that feeling. Kind of like, eating cake. And all that other stuff you want to do.
All that other stuff that you want to do. And that's kind of for me, is I look forward to it, right? I look at the end of the day going, okay, this is what I want to do. I know I have my Zumba class or have my salsa class and I'm excited. And then the other thing is like when I participated in the Zumba class with you, it's the friends that you make there and the relationships
when
that
you're doing something that you enjoy. You do it for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so then
doing something that you like.
You like.
When you first start off.
So when you first started, was this just natural? I mean, when you were young?
Well, I danced all my life. My mother used to own a dance studio called Carla Mikhail Thomas Dance Studio.
Okay.
My sister is Carla. I am Mikhail, and my brother's Thomas, so she named it after us. So we did gymnastics. I tap dance, but I don't do anything. So I'm a dancer, yes, ballet, jazz, gymnastics, tap. You'll see me tumble one day.
Okay,
Real soon.
I didn't even know that part about the tap dancing.
I grew up with this, and I ran track, so it's a part of me. But when I found out how I started exercising, my own personal story of just... my own insecurities, believe it or not realizing how cute I was.
Really?
So anyway, yes, that's a whole nother show. So I started exercising when I found out that you can combine exercise and dance. I had the best of both worlds.
Right, yeah.
And I launched that Zumba class about 14 years ago. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yes.
We had the hottest Zumba class in the city. Now we're doing Zumba. We're doing Zoom in a couple of weeks. Don't get the email, and you better be there.
Oh, you know I'm going to be there.
Yes.
You know that's my...
The crew's coming out.
The crew, you know, because I wasn't really about... And I know I'm supposed to be, but I wasn't about the other part. Like, oh, no, Don, I'm here for the Zumba.
Chris is a dancer.
I just
say
love
dance, she's there. So we did Zumba, hip-hop Zumba, line dancing Zumba. We did weights in Zumba. We did it all.
Yeah, we did. We had a great time. I really liked the line dancing thing that we had on Friday. So it was like going to the party. Yes. And we had our thing. And then you kind of mixed yours up. You had a little the Latin, then we had the hip-hop soul to it. Now the class I am is it's a little bit of both, but really more on the hip hop, which is cool. But I'm doing the burlesque class.
Yes.
So we're having our very first showcase in June. So we're going to be on display to people. It won't be in the privacy of the Wednesday class.
No, listen. A girlfriend of mine was doing burlesque. She had a burlesque show, and so I saw it and I glanced at it. And then I looked again, and I had to go look it up because, when we put something on it, there was a moment when the burlesque turned into a lap dance.
Well, we ain't got there.
What was that? So it was too funny. I said, "No, is that burlesque?" I had to run and Google it and take a look. And I said, black people.
Right there, that's black people burlesque. Yeah, ours is still a
Thank
little...
you, Anthony Taylor.
Let's see. Leo says, can you announce the upcast? Okay, yes, I can. No, ours is not quite there. The only thing that's going to be removed is one glove. Okay.
I was dying laughing, but see, it was classy, though.
Yeah.
It was classy, but there was a quick booty shaking.
Well, we have a little bit of that.
And the first thing I thought it was Crystal.
Yeah, so we're not at pole dancing, but however, we are we wiggling our hips and just some, but cute. So the first we're going to do two numbers. So one of them is very cute and it's kind of like a vintage type of dance. And then the second one is going to be a chair dance.
Okay.
Yeah, but still very, very,
and believe
very
it or not,
classy.
That's a great workout.
It
can
is
be a great workout. It can be a fun workout. And
yeah, I mean, I actually, when I come down, especially the chair, we have the one, as we're doing it, we even come down, have to gracefully, sexily drop down to the ground and roll on the floor and then get back up in the chair. Yes. So that's an exercise.
I'm coming to see that one there. I'm coming to see you do that one, Krista.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of interesting.
But I can't wait until you fall in love with lifting the weights.
Well, you know, I actually do like lifting weights. I'm not too much for the calisthenic part, but I love the weight. Because when my mom was ill, and this is when exercise when I really connected to it, because I was caregiving for my mom, and exercise was the one way that I would be able to keep myself sane and healthy. So I had in the living room at my mom's house, it was a little bit of space. I mean, it probably wasn't even big as this desk. And I did my Zumba, because before I got to you, your class was the very first Zumba class that I did outside of my own living room.
All right.
I had all the videos. I had a whole
I'm not going to ask you if my class is still the best. I'm not going to ask you that because I really enjoy the class that you're currently taking.
Yeah.
And I think all Zumba rocks.
All Zumba rocks.
If you were to tell me no, I'd be hurt.
Right.
So I'm not going to ask the question.
Yeah, all of it rocks. But I knew, so that was my your class was my first formal class where I wasn't teaching looking at YouTube videos or having the DVDs. But I did, in addition to that, I had my days. So my Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever it was my Zumba days. And then I lift weights. I had workout tapes that show me. And I had a whole, all the way up to my 10 pounds.
There's nothing like working out with a trainer or with a group of people. And our Facebook audience is asking how many times a week should a beginner exercise. My suggestion would be Monday through Friday and take Saturday and Sunday off. Take Saturday off in terms of lifting weights, maybe do some cardio, and make Sunday a free day where you enjoy just your family, maybe go to church, kind of relax, or vice versa. But you eat every single day, all day long.
That's true.
So you need to be breaking a sweat every single day, actually, the older you get. Yeah. So my suggestion would be 5 days off, 5 days on and 2 days off, or 6 days on and 1 day off. So I work out every day because I don't have a husband yet.
So let me ask that question. When the husband comes along, you gonna back it down to 5 days, or you gonna make sure he does the same thing?
No, I can't quit being great. No, he's gonna love me for everything that Dawn brings to the table. Every morning working out. I look this way because I'm at the gym every single day. If you want me to continue to shine, right?
Right, exactly.
And I need you to allow me to go to the gym. You know, one of my best relationships, I was involved with a young man that I loved dearly. We had a wonderful relationship, and I was a trainer at the time, and I was the biggest I ever been. Working out. Yeah, because remember, you nurture relationship. You eat more ice cream.
Yeah, that's true.
So no, when you get in a relationship,
you gain weight,
yes, you gain weight. When you get married, you gain weight. Yeah. I'm trying to stay ahead of the game here. So my husband, I don't need you to be chiseled if you're out there. I do not need you to have rock hard muscles. I just need you to love the gym. Okay. And you don't even have to go every day. Just allow me to go every day.
Okay.
So I can, pull out those red heels and
be cute for him, right?
Yes, of course.
Fine. So you'll know where your inner sexy is. You wouldn't have lost it.
Yes, I don't want to lose my inner sexy when I get married. We need that inner sexy to play out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, of course.
And it's so funny because even with, Dawn is actually going to be in addition to the Business Zone. She's going to come in a couple times a month, and she's going to talk about how we integrate a physical life with our business life, so that we can always be at our best, right? Yes, so I think my best is when I can physically go out and do my exercise however I'm doing it, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Just like you said, you would not be at your best if you could not maintain your physical. So we want to make sure that we're bringing information to our business owners so they understand why it's important to also be able to release that stress from work and running their businesses at the same time.
Now, I did say exercise when it fits into your schedule, but hopefully you'll fall in love with exercise. It'll give you a feeling that is so amazing that you'll start to understand the importance of trying to put it first. Right. Because just think of working on you before you go into someone else's dream. For those of you who are working a 9 to 5, working on you, getting those good endorphins to kick in, getting that high first thing in the morning. It takes you into work with a whole nother attitude, and you're more productive. Or if you're working for yourself, it prepares you for a challenging day as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It prepares you for disappointments. It prepares you for all of those things. So if I had to choose when's the best size time overall to exercise, if you can, first thing in the morning, get those endorphins moving, get your blood flowing, that's circulating, get your heart pumping, and then you're ready to tackle anything life has to offer you.
Okay.
Get that mindset together.
Now, let me ask this question. When I was younger, I was I skied probably every weekend. And when I would go, I would be 3 or 4 days a week. And in between that, when it wasn't ski season, we worked out on inline skating and that kind of stuff. So consequently, after I stopped that, my body was used to a certain level of activity. And I was talking to someone yesterday, and they had been into a sport, and then they had to stop doing that sport, and they were trying to figure out what's the sport I should be. Can I do now that can give me that same kind of, I can't remember what it was. I think he played basketball, and now he was trying to decide whether that was going to be tennis, which is that's my other thing. So I work out 4 days a week. Okay. So I have my dancing 4 days a week and then tennis on Saturdays.
I'm so proud of you.
I know, huh?
Yeah.
And it works. It helps. But I do know when I stop, like if I have a class that infringes on my Tuesday, Thursday, I am the body just goes into a whole nother place.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I was unable to work out for the past 2 weeks because I was doing some other things, and I needed my body to not be tired, my muscles not to be warm, because what I was doing required a whole lot of jumping, so I need to be fresh. But you talking about somebody half crazy. Oh my gosh. I said, no, we have to figure this out. I need to work out. It just does something for me. I felt, it just wasn't the regular Dawn. And they were looking for this energetic, hyper to walk through the door. I'm walking through the door dragging because I'm trying to be ready for you guys.
Right.
So today was my first day working out in 2 weeks. And
wow.
all I did was cardio, right, today. Right. I felt like $1 million. Yeah, it's so important. It is so important to
that must have been really hard for you, because it's hard for me to lose a day of but you work out much more than I do.
I said, okay, let me just walk through the gym and see how I feel. Maybe it'll help. Walk through real quick. No, it's nothing like touching those weights. It's important. It's important for my body to operate at the optimal level for me to feel good about me. It's important. It just does something for me.
Now, for me, my body actually goes into a panic. It hurts. If I skip like a day, or like I said, I'm going to take a 10-day off or a week off, I barely can walk down the stairs.
One of our Facebook audience asked me, what about allowing your muscles to rest? When I say work out 5 days a week, I'm not saying I'm the same muscle group, Anthony Taylor. I am talking about letting your muscles rest. Give you an example. I train back and biceps on Monday. They rest Tuesday and Wednesday. I may pick them back up on Thursday or Friday, but it's the same thing. So I am allowing the muscle that I work to relax, but I am moving in the gym, doing some form of a workout every day. Okay. You can do a full body workout on Monday, and then let your body rest and just do cardio on Tuesday. Come back to a half a body workout on Wednesday. There's different programs or ways you can structure your workout. However, you need to be breaking a sweat every single day, Anthony. And don't question me anymore. No, just
How dare you, Anthony?
How dare you?
So, a lot of, like I said, business owners, we sit behind a desk.
Yes.
We're curved over a computer. We got folks calling us on the cell phone. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the benefits for those individuals that are actually you're in a business, you have a busy business world, but what are some of the benefits of actually, like you said, setting aside that time for them?
You got to get just what you said, sitting at the desk, slumped over, for great posture, to get your circulation moving. I recently had a client who lost circulation every time they sat down at their desk at work, from the waist down.
Wow.
Start to tingle. Feet start to tingle. Create bad circulation sitting all the time. So we had to go and get her the type of desk that sits up. So that she can stand. You should have options at work. Okay. If you can, there are a lot of workout stations for a new form of a desk for at work where you're not sitting all the time. You can walk, talk on the phone, type, all those things. But for the purposes of you do nothing else but exercise so that circulation can keep moving. If you're not going home after a long day of work and you're not lifting your feet over your head, straight up over your head, up against the wall, higher than your heart, I would say straight up in the air for 20 minutes, you are robbing your body of its ability to perform and work and heal itself like it does. Okay. You got to relieve that pressure off your legs from sitting and walking and standing all day, every single day. It's important. If you do nothing else, raise those legs up over your head for about 20 minutes. Talk on the phone. It goes by real fast. So your body can begin to repair itself and do the work.
Okay. And, in our community, we have a tough time with diabetes and high blood pressure. And I'm sure a lot of that is because, and I notice with my friends in my age group, it's like, okay, exercise is like way back there, but they're taking blood pressure medication and cholesterol medication, and they could reduce some of that, right?
Absolutely. You can reduce all of that if you like. It's just up to you. We have to make up in our minds, that we want to feel better. I had a client that said, I want to eat what I want to eat. That's why I work out. So in other words, you're saying I want to continue to be on a high blood pressure medicine. I want to continue to have the symptoms of diabetes. I want to continue to be at risk of a stroke. That is what you're saying when you say, I want to eat what I want to eat. That's why I exercise. It makes no sense whatsoever, but that's what we're doing when we don't take heed to making better diet choices and implementing exercise into our daily routine. Everything, 80% of what you do is what you put in your mouth. You can change symptoms by simply making better diet choices.
Right.
But if you don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
You still got to say, I want to get off high blood pressure medicine. I want to get off high cholesterol medicine. I want to get off I want to lower my symptoms of diabetes. And then you go into the gym and you exercise and you work hard to get the results that you want. Okay. Don't haphazard anything.
Right. I mean, I completely, it's your body. You only get one.
But you have to make up your mind that you want to do that.
You want to do that. Now, are you still, I know when I was over at your gym, you were involved with the American Diabetes Association. Yes. Are you still involved with them?
Yes, I am. I'm a licensed ambassador.
Okay.
And I speak for them on occasion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so our guest today, they actually have a program, it's called the Manhood Camp, and I'm sure that from the videos that I saw and from their website, activity in addition to just making, increasing the child's activity and its mind power and
they are doing some phenomenal things.
So we're excited about them being here to talk about it. And, you and I both are people nurturers of our communities. You are in the health space and health and wellness space, and mine is in the business space. And I work with children as well. And I know I remember you had a couple of kids that you kind of had.
I had a kids group. We used to tour all over the place. We were called the Fitness Kids. We did the Apollo. We did a lot of things, and you'd be surprised what these kids know and how they can change their entire families. I had a young girl by the name of Kayla, 9 years old. I taught her diet so well. She went home one morning, and her mother was making breakfast, and she was like, "I can't eat that."
Wow.
And her mama called me talking about my daughter's she's going to school hungry because she's talking about she won't eat that. Came home talking about I can't eat that. She's going to bed hungry because she won't eat dinner. And so I had to tell Kayla at 9, I said, okay, sweetheart, there's some cases where you got to eat what your parents provide. I taught her too well. But if she tries to pull up in that McDonald's or that Burger King, I need you to look at her like she said, we need to make a better choice here. So you can teach your kids some things that will stay with them for a lifetime.
Right.
And a rollover to their generation, because I don't really believe in what they say, what they call it. They call it it's hereditary. Yeah. And sometimes what we inherited are just bad eating habits.
Yeah. and right, for sure, because you're eating based upon whatever, because you have no choice, right? So if your parents are into fatty foods, bad choices, then...
So what they're teaching these kids at a young age, my hat goes off to them. I look forward to working with them hopefully soon.
Yeah, that would be really great. Yeah, because I saw some cooking going on. Right. But that's how you have to change a child. And I know from working with children, I've worked in all kind of aspects of whether it was physical. I was a ski instructor at one point. Mm-hmm. I was a Girl Scout leader, and now I'm an educator with kids. And their little minds are like sponges. Yeah. So whatever you put into it, and if they admire you, right, they're going to replicate everything that you, which is why it's important for us as adults to be those positive mentors for our children, because they're going to mimic everything that you do. Mm-hmm. So if you can teach them how to eat better by doing the same thing yourself, and they usually go to their parents and teach them the same thing.
Because I believe a child should not have to look past the front door for a role model.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Everything they want to become, everything they want to be, they should see that in their parents.
Right, exactly.
Some form of it should be there. Because you can't tell them what to do. You have to show them by your actions. Mm-hmm. If they don't see you doing it, they're not going to believe it's possible.
And why should they?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
That's the do as I say, don't do as I do, right? Mm-hmm. I know my mom, she wasn't much into exercise, but she did like to dance. I'm probably the only one in my immediate family that embraced the sport. So, and mine is more about sports. It's the skiing. I enjoyed that. But with that, one of the things that's the best thing about athletics, I think, for kids is it does teach you to eat better.
It teaches you discipline,
everything, discipline, commitment, right? And it also teaches you that your body is a temple.
Yes.
And if you want it to perform at its highest peak, you gotta treat it right?
Eat it right to perform.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's what I think I like best about sports.
Yes.
Is that you understand, especially in high performance sports. When I was skiing, if I wasn't eating right, if I didn't drink a lot of water, one of the things we said to everyone before we'd go on a ski trip to Colorado, because the altitude was so high, we had to make sure we drank a lot of water. Yes.
Go ahead, keep
Anthony had a lot of water, and we had to minimize the caffeine. And we had to minimize the alcohol because the altitude was so high that you couldn't breathe when you got up there. And so many people thought that was a myth until they got there.
Do you know I've never had a drink of alcohol in my life?
Really?
Or smoked? No,
really?
Never.
Well, I've never smoked, but no alcohol?
No alcohol. I have no desire to. I'm not messing up this body. I ain't married yet.
You are funny.
Not at all.
I don't do hard liquor. I was
thinking about changing. You know what? I just had a birthday, and I'm so excited about my birthday. I'm not necessarily excited about growing an age older. However, the fact that I still feel youthful and alive, I'm excited about that. And I'm going to challenge myself to do some more things, So I'm thinking about changing my business to DS Athletics.
Okay.
Step my game up even more.
Okay. So what does that look like?
I don't know yet. But it just means I'm going to work harder. I'm going to challenge myself to really do it,
Okay.
More stuff. Have you seen the calisthenics when I hang upside down doing it?
Oh, girl, you be doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And all kinds of apparatuses. Maybe that comes from the gymnastics.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking about doing more.
You doing more?
Yeah.
I think the first time when you had the aerobics room and you was stacking up the crates and then jumping up and then down.
Didn't we have fun?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about having an aerobics room reunion. I think it's needed because we had so much fun on that corner.
We never knew what to expect from you, which is what got us there.
It was just great. At any moment, we would just we'd break out in a dance and a song, and it was just awesome.
So you guys see that exercise is fun.
Yes, it's absolutely fun.
But you got to have the right leader.
Exactly.
You got to have the right person guiding you through it, so that you will want to come back and have a great time.
The right person is important. The right trainer is important.
Right, the right trainer. So we're at 3:30 and we're going to take a quick break, and our guests are in the house. And before we leave, though, there is an upcoming event from the BCIF, which is the Black Community Investment Fund, and they raise funds and monies for small businesses, startup businesses where you're not quite ready to go to a bank.
I need them.
Yeah, you need them.
I ain't quite ready for a vaccine.
Right, but you can, and they sit and talk to you about your business and where the goals of what your goals of your business is, and the projections of what your future revenues can be, and so they can give you a little a loan, and then what happens then is once you've reached that next level, and then you go back and invest back in, and it's for our community.
Wow.
So they're having a fundraising event next Friday, April 27th. You can give me a call or go to my Facebook page. So Leo, post that or send that over to me on Facebook, and the flyer. It needs to be a JPEG, dear. And then I will post it on my Facebook page, Recycling Black Dollars, and as well as the Urban League and a number of other places. And while we're speaking that, before we take a break, we want to thank our sponsors that contribute to keeping the Business Zone on the air. One of them is Recycling Black Dollars, which I am the co-director of, and it is an organization that is here. I call it the consciousness of our people to support our own businesses.
I love that.
Yeah, so Recycling Black Dollars is about keeping your dollars in your community, investing back into your community to make it a better place for you to live. And then Small Biz Pro, which is a software program or a cloud kind of program for maintaining your organizing your business documents that you need in order to run your business.
Right.
And that's the baby and invention of Gilbert Buchanan, who is my co-host of the show. And then our other sponsor is the Department of General Services for the state of California, and they provide contracts to minority-owned business owners to do business with the state of California. And there's like billions of dollars that are out there for you as a business owner to get a contract with the state of California, and now you're doing contract business versus transactional business, which is a much better way to sustain your business. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we will be back.
All right.
Each year, the state of California contracts for billions of dollars of goods and services. We as a state can and should leverage our spending power to achieve policy goals that help the people of California. One major policy goal we have is to create jobs and grow our state economy. Promoting the development of small businesses within California is a great way for us to do that, because California small businesses are the engine of economic growth. 95% of companies in California are small businesses, and with the right opportunities, these small businesses can grow to become the next Apple, Netflix, or Tesla. So let's all do our part to promote small business development and grow our state economy. Together, we can really make it.
Hello, meet Larry. Larry is a general contractor. Larry is very good at his craft, but Larry has a very tough time managing his paperwork because he is busy taking care of his clients' needs. Larry just cannot find his important business documents when needed. Larry is also being passed over for bid opportunities from prime contractors because he is perceived as not ready. He doesn't know where his business license, certifications, insurance, and other key corporate documents are located most of the time. Lucy owns an auto body and collision repair shop and has been using a business management and procurement assistance program called Small Biz Pro to keep her business organized, business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Small Biz Pro is a 3-in-1 cloud-based business management, procurement, and market research assistance system designed to help businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. It also provides back-office operation solutions for small businesses. Lucy is able to stay ahead of her competitors because she uses Small Biz Pro to manage her business daily. Lucy just clicks on Small Biz Pro from her tablet, mobile phone, laptop, or any internet-accessible device for data retrieval, and she's got it. Lucy introduces Larry to Small Biz Pro, and now Larry is more organized and can now find all of his documents and new bid opportunities in seconds. Larry now saves $120 in labor costs for each missing or misplaced document. Just simply go to your web browser and log into smallbizpro.net and register today for a limited 30-day free trial offer. Services start as low as $1 per day. Let's put the competition out of business. Small Biz Pro. If you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. Register now at smallbizpro.net and begin saving money. Email info@smallbizpro.net or call 626-533-1186.
When Black people spend money at a supermarket, a gas station, or convenience store, we call them consumers.
When Black people spend money at a Black-owned and operated store, I call them investors.
That's because the money spent at a Black enterprise creates a dividend for the Black community.
Dividends that create wealth, stability, and opportunity. So spend your money as though the survival of our community depends on it. Because
it does.
Hello, meet Larry. Larry is a general contractor. Larry is very good at his craft, but Larry has a very tough time managing his paperwork because he is busy taking care of his clients' needs. Larry just cannot find his important business documents when needed. Larry is also being passed over for bid opportunities from prime contractors because he is perceived as not ready. He doesn't know where his business license, certifications, insurance, and other key corporate documents are located most of the time. Lucy owns an auto body and collision repair shop and has been using a business management and procurement assistance program called Small Biz Pro to keep her business organized, business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Small Biz Pro is a 3-in-1 cloud-based business management, procurement, and market research assistance system designed to help businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. It also provides back-office operation solutions for small businesses. Lucy is able to stay ahead of her competitors because she uses Small Biz Pro to manage her business daily. Lucy just clicks on Small Biz Pro from her tablet, mobile phone, laptop, or any internet-accessible device for data retrieval, and she's got it. Lucy introduces Larry to Small Biz Pro, and now Larry is more organized and can now find all of his documents and new bid opportunities in seconds. Larry now saves $120 in labor costs for each missing or misplaced document. Just simply go to your web browser and log into smallbizpro.net and register today for a limited 30-day free trial offer. Services start as low as $1 per day. Let's put the competition out of business. Small Biz Pro. If you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. Register now at smallbizpro.net and begin saving money. Email info@smallbizpro.net or call 626-533-1186.
Okay, we are back and we have our guest. I think I have a stand. I can bring it out to you. We have our guest, Mr. Trayvon Tillis.
Yes.
And he is from an organization called Manhood Camp. It's a nonprofit organization, and they offer 10-week life skill programs focusing on empowering at-risk young men towards safe and productive behavior. Their program is aimed to impart 4 main principles. First one is self-awareness. Second one is self-empowerment. The third one is personal responsibility. And the fourth one is social responsibility. And the program is broken into 10 separate classes. And these classes are conducted over a 10-week period, and each class is structured to allow both clear and concise instruction as well as maximize student participation. And we are very happy to have you. He also has his co-founder of the organization, yes, Mr. Mark Winkler.
Yes.
He's on his way. You know, he's in LA traffic, and you guys all know how bad that is.
Oh, yes. I know. I was flying from LA. From Hollywood.
Well, it's horrible, right? So we understand. Well, when he comes in, we'll bring him in. But in the meantime, we'll talk to one of the founders, Mr. Trayvon. So at the break, we were talking on what inspired the launching of Manhood Camp. So can you tell us what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, the inspiration is when I was younger, I lost my father at a young age, 9th grade. And I felt that in order for me to navigate through life, I had to like pick and choose like guys that I can like get guidance from. One was my football coach from Crenshaw High. My other one was a teacher, Mr. Johns from Crenshaw High, my print class, and my grandfather. And those are the guys that kind of helped me through and navigate through high school because, you know, I did. And my mom actually put me in football in regards to, due to the fact that I did lost my father.
Okay.
And it helped me out. I took all my frustration out on the field and things like that. And a lot of people thought because my father was gone that I would be the one to kind of mess up. But in reality, it motivated me. Went to school and got my bachelor's degree in sociology, minor in psychology, and I started my master's program in social work this August.
Oh, fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Wow.
That
so
is
much.
absolutely wonderful. And you know, both parents are needed in a
Yes.
family, right? And even if you have a very strong mom, men definitely need, mothers cannot teach their young boys when they pass adolescence to be men.
That is so true. I agree. I have a lot of friends that did have strong mothers, and they did a great job. But it is that one thing that could miss what a father can teach a young man.
Yeah.
That's why I have my son with me at all times.
Yeah.
My son is with me like half the time. Like I guarantee you that he's glued to my side.
Yeah, because it's important. And I think even as a female,
Oh, yeah.
I think, because I didn't grow up with my parents, I didn't grow up with my natural father, my birth father, but I did grow up with a stepfather. And we could have just skipped all of him, all of that. But I do know that my mother raised me to be a very strong woman, but there's no balance if I didn't have a strong father to be able to bounce off of that, right? So I do know that is a part of me that would have been different.
Right.
There was another part of me that would have been different if I had that input of a strong father.
My family, my father left the home when I was 7th grade, I think 13 years
Okay.
old. But my mother, it was important for my mother to make sure my dad was still around. So we still had an example of a strong man that was there. He came by the house whenever he wanted to. My mother was like, I cannot date, we're not together, but I need my kids to be able to see their dad whenever. So he stopped by. We saw my father every day, and then we even moved in with my dad. My
Okay.
12th grade year, I lived with my father.
Okay.
He got all the kids. My 10th grade year, I went to my dad. So she made sure that during our college year, high school years, rather, we were with our father for half that time.
Yeah, that's
growing up.
very,
So
very
we got
important.
a chance to see him go to work every morning. We got a chance to see him, how he interacted and talked to my mom and handling conflict because they were not married. We got a strong example.
Right, and that's important, isn't it?
No, I agree with that. My co-founder, Mark Winkler, his relationship with his daughter, and it's amazing because I always say I didn't want a daughter because I thought it was like really hard to raise a daughter. But
It could be.
it could, right? But I have seen him in the past where he'll go pick up his daughter for a date and like open up the
that's
door,
nice.
bring flowers, candy, pull out the chair. And these are the things he's instilling in her so that if any guy ever approach her, if he's not coming like her father,
Correct,
then
right.
he ain't coming at all.
Right.
Oh, that's
So
hilarious. My dad, my father growing up, my father's like probably 5'1".
Okay.
So my father would tell us, well, he was such an example in front of us. We wanted people to be like my dad.
Right.
He'd say, don't bring nobody home taller than me. So he like 5'1". My sister told him, we see guys and be like, we can't date him. We can't date him. But he was joking, but we felt it was serious because
Right.
he was such a strong example in front of us. We ended with these short guys. Hilarious.
So let me ask this because that's a big key. When we talk about a village, I know when I was growing up, now we did have an extended family. My godparents, there was a very positive male role model there.
Yes.
But our children today don't even have that, do they? They don't have uncles, or it appears moms don't have male friends that they feel comfortable that they're not dating that can interact with their children.
well, I honestly think that they do have it, but they're not active, or they don't. A lot of family don't want to bring other people in because they don't want them to know what's really going on, or they want to put up this facade as like, we got it, everything's good.
Yeah, that's
But in
true.
reality, that there's a lot of guidance that is needed. I think even when I was dating, it was more of me trying to make sure that, any person I introduce to my son is worthy of being around my son.
Oh, yeah.
So my whole thing is I check him out way ahead of time, and it's probably a year before they even introduce.
And which is the way it's supposed to be. That it shouldn't be. I have some really close male friends that their children were in my ski program, and these are they're amazing dads. I mean, just absolutely. In some cases, the dad was more had a more positive relationship with the kids than their mothers did, and I just really, it's really wonderful when you see a father interacting with his child and nurturing his child to become this very successful man and a balanced young man.
That's true.
So, what are some of what are they learning in your classes?
Well, we try to instill in them that first of all, we feel like each one teach one. If we don't give back to our community, then who else is, right? So all my community service come back from my fraternity. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and I feel they instilled in me the giving back.
Okay,
and
which is very important.
With me giving back and me saying, man, what is it that I need to do in order to help these kids? And so what I did was I wanted to make sure that we could instill in them life skills. So I sum it up as we teach young men that don't have father figures in their life what a father would teach young men growing up. So we think that each male needs to learn how to cook at least 5 meals. So we do a cooking program. We do diverse training, so where we don't want them to get information off the internet and choose what they feel it is about. We want them to go actually experience it. So we did a 9-week course where we went to different ethnicities, backgrounds. We went to a little Ethiopian. We went to different museums so that they can experience for themselves and ask questions, so that they won't be just seeing what they see on the internet and saying it. Exactly. We also promote. We try to promote fatherhood because some of these young kids are having kids at a young age. We do anger management. We do drug prevention. We promote higher education. We definitely do proper relationship building. Like we want to make sure that they know how to court a woman properly or build a relationship with anybody.
Right.
A proper relationship.
Oh yeah, that's needed.
So you have an 8-week course of different things that you're offering.
Well, see,
because what of anger management? Do you feel like a lot of kids are angry when they come to you?
I think a lot of kids are angry because they don't know how to express what they need to get out, and they hold a lot of things in.
Especially our young African American children.
Because when my father passed, I think it was 6 months later before I even expressed my father. Me getting frustrated and mad. Right. I was going out. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. Coming in at 3:00 in the morning, fighting my sister's boyfriend, fighting whoever wanted to mess with me, and I just didn't express it. And then one day, I had this thing where I had to be home. That was
your way of expressing it, right?
Well,
because you didn't really deal with it initially.
Yeah, well, it was
acting out.
The wrong way of expressing it.
But that's how you were expressing it at the time.
Exactly. And then one day, we had this schedule to be home before the street lights. And I ran all the way home, and I ran in the house like, oh, Dad, I'm here before the street lights. And everybody looked at me, and that's when I broke down. And that's when I cried, and it really hit me. Yeah. And I was able to get it out, and then that's when my mom introduced me to all these different, like, you're going to play football, you're going here, you're going there.
Right. Because interesting enough, young men growing up, think it's not a good example for them to cry. It's not okay for them to express themselves like that. So they end up acting out and doing the things you were doing growing up.
That's true. And I struggle with my son actually right now. Sometimes he want to hug, and I'll be like, man, guys don't hug that much. But then I had to sit back and reflect and be like, hold up, this is my son. I want him to be able to feel that. If you want to come give me a hug, you come give me a hug. Right. I don't want to put a time limit on that because sooner or later he's going to stop on his own. Yeah. So now I'll be like, you want a hug, kiss? Come on, get it.
Then you allow him to express himself.
Exactly.
Rather than hold that in.
Yeah. And he doesn't see that there's a limitation, because when he does get with a woman when he grows up, he has to feel that it's got to be real, right?
Yes.
It's got to be genuine, and that if he feels like hugging her, he won't feel awkward, and then she don't feel that it's genuine. And the same way. So I think that's very important, is teaching our children how to be affectionate with one another.
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't, we kind of get caught up in that. But in other cultures, in other countries, they don't seem to have that problem as much as we do.
Yeah.
I
mean, you're right, because like, I done seen man-to-man kiss on the lip, but that's just their culture.
Right, exactly.
And I was like, all right, well, maybe I can. Well, when he was younger, I was doing that, and I mean, to this day, every once in a while, I do it. I used to actually wait till he went to sleep and not hug and kiss him, and he didn't even know I was doing it. But I was just like, I'm getting all my love I can. Right. But now I'm like, there's no limits.
Right.
Yeah, and it never really should be, and I think that's just some social thing that we implement ourselves.
Running our kids with that. I have a friend, this little girl. She probably just started learning how to walk, and he's military. So she falls, and she wants to cry. He goes up to her, you better not cry. You better not cry. So I'm looking at this. She's trying to suck it in. Stand up. She's like, trying to stand up and suck it in. And I'm like, will you let that baby cry?
Yeah,
and she's standing there. He's military. She's standing there like, I said, he's ruining this little girl. She's going to be a mess for any man.
Well, because it cuts off. It teaches you to cut off that part of it and suppress it back in.
And she's going to be hard to date. She's going to be hard to deal with. Yeah. She's going to be motionless when these guys. Yeah. I said, oh, God, I feel sorry for these men she's going to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to have a chance.
Yeah. And so he needs, she needs the reverse.
I know, right?
The womanhood can't.
We actually, we really want to do that as well.
Okay.
We have one of our board members, Thea, and she's a licensed clinician, and like we really want, once we get this up and going to the point where we can like, I really want to like quit my job and focus just on this right now. Exactly. I do it on the weekend and when I can, but we want to be able to have that component as well, because we also we was trained to have that CSEC. And we were able to go speak at Audubon in regards to CSEC, and we there's been so many clients I had that I used to go out and look for them because they were caught up in that lifestyle. So we promote that on our website, because we feel that as many fathers, the girls do too.
Right.
Yeah, the
but
girls.
You have that teaching component of the parents.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because most parents don't feel like they need to be taught.
No, they really, really don't. I referred over to Mark, and I don't know if he and a friend of mine, his name is Greg Winston, and Greg has a book that he just wrote called Barbed Wire Souls.
Okay.
And it's about teaching our children how to respond and how to interact with certain situations that could be dangerous and that could elevate to a dangerous place, right? And especially with us losing our young men and black children, period. Yeah. But in his book, he tells it's through storytelling. So Greg had actually was raised in Philadelphia, and it was a very violent part of town. And he saw someone killed when he was like 7 or 8 years old. Wow. And his mother sent him to Arkansas, where his grandfather lived. And so his grandfather was the groomer, like what you guys are doing. And he talks about in his book, there was a situation. His grandfather actually owned many acres and several horses in this farm, a very well producing and successful farm. And so one day he said he and his grandfather were on a horse and they were riding, and these white people came up and they were saying, Mr. The horse's name was Walter, his grandfather. They were asking him whose horse was that, and he goes, "Oh, this is Mr. So and So's horse. We just taking it out to exercises where." And he changed his whole vernacular. He became much more subservient, right? And so Greg is sitting there going, what are you doing?
Right.
But then after it was over, and so they left him alone when they realized it wasn't his horses, or they thought it wasn't his horses, and they just rode on away. So after he said, why didn't you tell him that it was your horse? He goes, they don't need to know that. I know who horses belong, but I had to remember that I had one job here, and that job was to protect you.
Wow.
That I did not put you in harm's way because my ego got in the way of telling them, this is my horse, and being defiant to them, and then escalating a situation up here, and then I would have lost you. Right. He said, so that wasn't what I was doing. So he was like, why you sounded like that? And, because it's sounding, he's like, no, it was all to protect you.
I had a recent incident the other day. Me and my son was coming home, and we got put over by the police. And, I let him know that, look, I don't understand why you put me over. You know, I understand that I have a car with rims on, but he was saying that my license plate light was out. And to me, I was just feeling like they just wanted to pull us over, and my son started to cry, and I was just like, it's all right. It's okay. And I was like, see, all this stuff that's going on, you pulling us over for no reason. You got my son over here crying. That's not cool. And then as soon as they heard that, they was like, here you go, sir. You can take yourself and go. But I didn't want my son to feel that he needs to be feared, but at the same time, he needs to be okay with like expressing himself in a proper way. That's why we also have this youth and what it's called police and youth dialogue, where we have the police and the youth come together, and just so that they can interact and build a relationship. Because I feel if the police, well, I told the police officer that one time we had this group, is that, you know, I really think in order to stop this from going further, that if you're going to be working in this area, I feel that y'all should have some type of day where y'all go into the schools and meet the children and get to know them once a week. You know, different officers.
And that used to be a program called community policing, right?
And so I figure, like, if you get to know these kids as they get older, you could be like, oh, that's Billy from up the street. He's okay. We don't have to talk to him or anything like that. To me, it'll help the future, but it's not helping right now. But trying to have these police and youth dialogues are, I think, an important factor so that the kids and the police can interact without
and I think that's very important.
It's very important. What you said earlier, I think you said it, to protect that, to my goal. One job here was to protect you. And I think that when we get stopped or any situation we're in, I was coaching a girlfriend of mine, and she was having some problems with her husband, and instead she went off, right? He said something that sparked her, she went off. And I told her, you got to remember the result you want out of the conversation.
Right.
Regardless of what they say, you got to remember the outcome that you want.
Right.
So when I'm getting stopped, my thing is I want to make it home. I could care less what they say. My goal is to get home safe and to make it home to my family. So we have to. It's so important to educate our kids, and
that's what Greg is doing. So and that's why I referred when I talked to Mark the first time, and I think they have reached out to each other. I'm not sure what the outcome was, but Greg is also going to be doing these life events where he's bringing in parents and the child, because it's about exactly what you just did with your child. Even when we look at last week with the two young men that were escorted and arrested in Starbucks, right? They remained calm, right? They could have protested, they could have done all of that, and they chose just to let the situation play itself out. So now, of course, the public, because we do have a tool, and it's called Facebook Live and all that sort of stuff, where it used to be they could do these kind of things to us, and you might not know about it until long after the fact. Now it's instantaneous, right? So the response back from Starbucks has been, whoa, wait a minute, okay, maybe we need to sit down, have some diversity training and some racial biasness. And I think what you're just saying, what you said earlier about taking children to see other cultures, because it's really about not knowing, right? We live in, if you live in a state of not knowing, we assume that all other kids are treated differently than we are.
True.
White kids don't realize we're all raised the same. There is a mother-father handbook. It has the same cliches. Open my refrigerator door, I'm gonna knock your head off. Stand in front of my refrigerator. All of us, we can say things that our parents said to us, and they will be the exact same. Like there was a handbook somewhere out there that was passed down in the maternity ward, right? And so it's the same thing. And children don't see color themselves.
True.
Because they play with each other. Right. It's not until the adult actually intervenes and they put their racial biases over into it. But we're all the exact same.
That is true. And we actually have this other program we have called Fatherhood Circle. And because we're trying to reach out to more fathers to be active in their kids' life, or even if fathers trying to be active and have to go jump through hoops and loops to get there. We do this once a month on the fourth Saturday at the Crenshaw Mall Community Center.
Oh, really?
And we have one coming up on the 28th.
Oh, okay.
And last time we had a lawyer, we had a therapist there to answer questions for fathers. And we tell them this is not a mother bashing event. This is actually coming out because we want to we want to reach as many fathers as we can, so they can teach those life lessons that we're trying to teach their
now
kids.
That's not on your website.
It's actually it's just a new tab we put on there.
Okay.
It's on there, but it just recently happened.
Okay.
It started last month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We have to repeat that again before this is over.
Okay.
The last program you were talking about, is that the Behind the Hoodie program?
Behind the Hoodie.
Is that a little different?
That was in regards to the Trayvon Martin incident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a youth speak out, but it's similar to the same thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, what are the kids? Because I know what the parents are saying, and obviously we see the kids in Florida speaking out on the killing that took place in Parkland.
Mm-hmm.
What are our children saying? What are our children saying about what has taken place with the Trayvon Martins, and how are they feeling? Do they feel fear every time they walk out their door?
I think some of the kids are feeling fear when they go out. Because it's a shame. Like the other day, you said just a few minutes ago, you were like saying, "Man, I just want to make it home," and we shouldn't have to feel like, "Man, I want to make it home." That shouldn't even be in our vocabulary when if we get put over or anything like that. So we was talking to the kids not too long ago, about 6 months ago, and we was telling them like, how would you want to like promote that, And they came up with this idea of a shirt saying "Youth Life Matters." And
that's powerful.
We got a design made, and they put names of kids. It was like all over the shirt, just different names with the silhouette of kids on it, of kids that got taken out the world by either violence or a police officer. It wasn't no like bash at one thing. It was just wrongful killings, being at the wrong place, wrong time. And one of the boys was like, "Man, I want to put my cousin on the shirt, his name." So it really was a thing for him. And they went out there promoting it. And Crenshaw Malls told us we could set up, and they were doing a little entrepreneur business where they were selling their shirts and things like that. But I guess they do fear it because they wouldn't have came up with that if they didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I teach an entrepreneur camp every summer. It's called the the Biz Camp, and I do it in conjunction with the Urban League. And so last year, when the kids were creating their businesses, one of the young girls created the business prototype or business model was that on the back of license plates for children that have disabilities, in this case, this was autism, if they were autistic but highly functioning, so that when a police officer ran their plates, they could see that this child may have a handicap or some sort of disability, and how to interact with them. And she was 14 years old.
I love that.
Wow. Remember the young girl who died a long time ago being shot at when she was having a spasm at the time, and they thought that she actually had a gun on her lap because she was afraid that, do you remember that story? She ended up pulling out a gun that she had with her, and she sat on her lap, and the police, I guess they saw it, but she was nervous, I guess, and scared of being in the neighborhood she was in, and she was having a seizure. Oh, okay. And they ended up shooting her because they thought she was going to shoot them. Do you remember that a long time ago?
No, but I know that something happened like that just last 2 weeks ago, right here, right up the street here, right over where Delicious is, right there. A young man. Actually, I think he's a young father. He was having a schizophrenic episode. His medications was being adjusted, and he was having problems. And so he was in the mall where you guys have your thing.
You know what? I seen that on my frat brother had it on Facebook Live.
Yeah, and so he had a knife, but he was having an episode, and they shot him in the mall.
In the mall.
In the mall.
It was like 25 shots.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's what happened. He did have a knife, but he was having an episode.
He started to run away. I thought he started to run away.
Right.
And then I don't know.
Yeah, I think he had the knife and he was wielding it. But again, his parents, they were on the news and saying that he was a diagnosed schizophrenic, and they had been adjusting his medication, and he had a reaction to the medication, and he went running to the mall. And that's what happened. And so this morning I was watching, the kids had a march in Hollywood. In Hollywood, they had a walk out of school, and one of they were interviewing one of the young men that survived Columbine.
Okay.
And he was saying that we talk about gun control and separately from mental illness, separately from gun control. He says it's both. We have to address the mental illness in our country. And, there are certain illnesses. You work in mental health, obviously.
Right.
So schizophrenia doesn't show up until they're, 18, 19?
So they're older, yeah.
Right. So you don't know really that this may be happening.
Exactly.
And so we have to have some conversation about real issues on how we not kill our children, but how we talk to our children. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll address that conversation.
All right.
Hello, meet Larry. Larry is a general contractor. Larry is very good at his craft, but Larry has a very tough time managing his paperwork because he is busy taking care of his clients' needs. Larry just cannot find his important business documents when needed. Larry is also being passed over for bid opportunities from prime contractors because he is perceived as not ready. He doesn't know where his business license, certifications, insurance, and other key corporate documents are located most of the time. Lucy owns an auto body and collision repair shop and has been using a business management and procurement assistance program called Small Biz Pro to keep her business organized, business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Small Biz Pro is a 3-in-1 cloud-based business management, procurement, and market research assistance system designed to help businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. It also provides back-office operation solutions for small businesses. Lucy is able to stay ahead of her competitors because she uses Small Biz Pro to manage her business daily. Lucy just clicks on Small Biz Pro from her tablet, mobile phone, laptop, or any internet-accessible device for data retrieval, and she's got it. Lucy introduces Larry to Small Biz Pro, and now Larry is more organized and can now find all of his documents and new bid opportunities in seconds. Larry now saves $120 in labor costs for each missing or misplaced document. Just simply go to your web browser and log into smallbizpro.net and register today for a limited 30-day free trial offer. Services start as low as $1 per day. Let's put the competition out of business. Small Biz Pro. If you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. Register now at smallbizpro.net and begin saving money. Email info@smallbizpro.net or call 626-533-1186.
When Black people spend money at a supermarket, a gas station, or convenience store, we call them consumers.
When Black people spend money at a Black-owned and operated store, I call them investors.
That's because the money spent at a Black enterprise creates a dividend for the Black community.
Dividends that create wealth, stability, and opportunity. So spend your money as though the survival of our community depends on it. Because
it does.
Hello, meet Larry. Larry is a general contractor. Larry is very good at his craft, but Larry has a very tough time managing his paperwork because he is busy taking care of his clients' needs. Larry just cannot find his important business documents when needed. Larry is also being passed over for bid opportunities from prime contractors because he is perceived as not ready. He doesn't know where his business license, certifications, insurance, and other key corporate documents are located most of the time. Lucy owns an auto body and collision repair shop and has been using a business management and procurement assistance program called Small Biz Pro to keep her business organized, business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Small Biz Pro is a 3-in-1 cloud-based business management, procurement, and market research assistance system designed to help businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. It also provides back-office operation solutions for small businesses. Lucy is able to stay ahead of her competitors because she uses Small Biz Pro to manage her business daily. Lucy just clicks on Small Biz Pro from her tablet, mobile phone, laptop, or any internet-accessible device for data retrieval, and she's got it. Lucy introduces Larry to Small Biz Pro, and now Larry is more organized and can now find all of his documents and new bid opportunities in seconds. Larry now saves $120 in labor costs for each missing or misplaced document. Just simply go to your web browser and log into smallbizpro.net and register today for a limited 30-day free trial offer. Services start as low as $1 per day. Let's put the competition out of business. Small Biz Pro. If you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. Register now at smallbizpro.net and begin saving money. Email info@smallbizpro.net or call 626-533-1186.
And we are back. You are tuned into the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, although today is Crystal and Dawn Strozier, my good friend, and she's co-hosting with me, and we're having a great conversation.
We are having a ball.
A ball. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of our guests and to talk about the topic that we're speaking on today is the hotline number is 323-293-3375. That's 323-293-3375. And if you're on our Facebook pages, you actually can see the whole show by going to morrismedialive.com, and we are on YouTube, and we are streaming live from there, and you can see the whole show from there, and you can see the guests. So we just have been joined by the other co-founder of the Manhood Camp, and Mr. Mark Winkler. He just came in from, which doesn't seem like it's a long distance, but today's traffic is probably like driving for 12 days, and he just came from Pasadena. But I do feel for you. As I teach a class in Pomona 3 times a week.
So you experienced the pain as well.
I've experienced the pain of... And it can be as bad for driving from here to West LA.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
It does not
You're in
matter.
Hollywood. That's just as bad. It doesn't matter where you are. So just nothing. So welcome. We're glad to have you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Trayvon was telling us about the program, and we were just having
Very impressed.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Great program. So I have already asked his inspiration, and what was your inspiration for joining up with Trayvon on with the Manhood?
Well, it's always been, I think, a part of my makeup, and I think I get that maybe from my mother, who constantly talking about doing things for the community and making things better. I remember, and a lot of that I think comes from her religious and her background. And so she would always talk about, you got to make things better. You got to make things better. And so I think that just became a part of who I am,
Adjusting the knob.
Adjusting the knob. Is this better?
That better, LaRon? Oh, okay. Sorry. We'll call her. We'll take a moment for you. I'm sorry.
Let's bring the caller in.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Darnell out that Tuscaloosa area.
Hi, Darnell. Welcome. I'm glad you called in. You have a question for us?
No, I call in to say what's up to Don.
Well, Don.
I think he called in last time I was on the show.
Oh,
thank you for your support. You trying to get me married off. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, what's up, Don? It's always good to see you looking like a bag of money.
Thank you. Now we just need to make the money. But thank you for that.
Hey, yeah, that's all I want to do is call in and say what's up to Don. But, Crystal.
Yes.
Hey, tell Gilbert he got me singing that song at work, too, that I'm a businessman.
This is your fan.
Oh, wow. We got to make sure Gilbert
gets
it copywritten. Yeah, those are his jingles. He is so excited. He's going back into the studio and resuming his Jamaican songwriter mode, Gilly Buchanan. But I will let him know that you're a fan of his.
Yes. What do you think about the program? What do you think about the program?
I definitely like that one.
Okay. Do you watch the program?
Yeah, I watch all the time. I jot down my notes and everything.
So what do you think about today's guests and what they're offering our community in terms of helping to raise our young men?
I just listen to you. I've just been listening to you.
Don, you got that way with him, man.
Thank you.
He can't even hear.
And I'm having a bad hair day. I really appreciate you making me feel great. I just turned 48 years young, and I really appreciate that.
Hey, now.
Thank you for calling, my friend.
All right, y'all be good.
All right, thank you, Darnell. You got a fan club, girl. So giving back to the community.
So giving back to the community, and I found myself in different stages of my life doing that. I think the first big part of my life was when I joined the Nation of Islam, and and when I was in New York. That's where I'm. I'm not going to say I was born in New York because then my wife would probably call and say, "Where you were born in St. Louis?" So, I'm not. He was going to call me out too. But most of my rearing and growing up was in New York, and that's why I joined the Nation. So from there, I got in me, to give back to the community. I think what my mother put in me came out and it flourished while I was in the Nation. And then from there, we just kept going. And then when I eventually met Trayvon and he started this organization and he brought me aboard, it was just a natural a fit for me from things I had been doing, pretty much all throughout my life.
Now, were you born in a
We
single
started it.
family home? Were you born in a single family home?
No, actually, I wasn't. I was born. My mother and father were together, but I didn't know them together. Right, so because it was when I was very young, so
right. Okay.
So for the first 10 years of my life, I lived with my mother, and then my father, came in the picture, and then came back in the picture, and then me and my brother started living in New York, and so from there I grew up in New York, and then visited my mother. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were raised with your father.
I was raised with my pops. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was still, my mother was still very much in my life. Matter of fact, she's out here now in California. But I don't know if you were going did I have that single parent experience? So in a way, I did. So in working with youth, I can understand those who have been separated from one of their primary parents, and then what that can do. Because even though both of my parents were still very much involved in my life, it was still difficult,
right?
And it was still, I believe, it was still somewhat unbalanced,
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I said, even though my mom was an amazing lady and wore both hats very well, but still it was unbalanced. And I think my younger brother at the time, when we moved out here from New York, I'm from New York, and when we moved out here, trying to find that male role model really shaped what happened to the rest of his life.
Sure.
So it's very important that both parents are there and both of them are offering a positive experience for their children. Yeah. Because that's your first role model.
No, it is. No, I agree 100%, Crystal. And I think, and if you're talking about having that role model, I think for us, both Trayvon and I, when we were out there and we were working with youth, especially youth who don't have both their parents, we say, hey, look, if since you don't have, especially a father, we're going to be that image for you. And of course, it can't be that particular image because the consistency of having the father in the home, you can't replace that. Right, you can't replace that just if you see the child once or twice or 3 times a week. You still can't replace that. But we do our best to help them to see, look, this is somewhat of what you can model for your life, right? And we recently started, I don't know if Siobhan talked about it or not, but we recently started working with fathers. We brought a component in called Fatherhood Circle, which we feel is a natural extension of working with the youth, because if we can help the father to be the best he can be, or to even be present in the child's life, if they've separated from, a legal experience or whatever, then we're sort of catching them on both angles there. So.
And I think that's important. I have a lot of male friends that, in fact, I think I had this conversation recently. When there is a break between the parent, the mother, and the father, and the child is caught in the middle, and there's a pond, and then a lot of men feel to avoid that hassle. They just step back because of that. And so I think that's a very valuable component of your business, of your organization, is to have that circle so you can help them bridge that gap. And then a lot of them don't know what the laws and their rights are. When it comes to, do I have a right to be with my child, or does she have all the rights because she gave them? So they're very confused on that.
You know what? And here's the thing, and that I I think a lot of fathers sort of misunderstand. And we're actually having an attorney, Michael Kennedy from Estelle and Kennedy, coming on the 28th for our next Fatherhood Circle. And one of the things that he lets fathers know is that you have a right, an inherent right to be with your child, right? You just have to go establish that, right? If you're, especially if you're married and you separate, you just go and say, hey, look, it's my child, and you can get the court will award you the time to see your child. But if you're not married, you have to go establish your parental rights, and that's where a lot of confusion is. Right. Even if you're on the birth certificate, listed as the father.
But on the flip side of that, I know there are many men that have had to pay child support because they put them on the birth certificate that shows that they weren't the father.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I think we're going through right now is a lot of my friends who are fighting with their baby's mother to get custody, they're shying away because women are acting so crazy, and while the police are unpredictable in the way they're acting, the guys are like, I'll deal with my kid later. Right. Because they show up on the scene and then the first thing they do is grab the man.
Well, you know what? And that's a reality, right? If we look at what's happening in society, right? Two brothers sitting down in Starbucks just enjoying a coffee. They come in, right, and they don't really question, hey, what's going on, right? They just go jump into action, right? And so the fathers, right, they do get intimidated by the thought of that experience, right? And what happens is eventually their fear overrides their love. But see,
it's real though. So what do you say to them? Because this is just happened to my girlfriend's son.
Sure.
So he's the girlfriend goes to the hospital.
Sure.
She has a bruise. She tells the doctor, "Oh, my boyfriend did it. He jumped on me." They go arrest him immediately, no questions.
Sure.
Now, never been in trouble. No record whatsoever.
Right.
Now he's facing 3 years. So he gets a defense attorney.
Right.
The defense attorney won't answer any of his phone calls.
Right.
They called him about 10, 15 times. So the mother had to step in and say, I'm going to blast you on the news and every social media as a lawyer if you do not answer my son's phone call. Because they got a videotape of the young girl kicking the his grandmother's window in after she dropped the child off, because they had a videotape of her going up to the boy's job, acting a fool and leaving the baby right in the middle of the aisle and walking out. Then she said, we have evidence that my son has not harmed her. The defense attorney was saying, just tell him plead guilty. 3 years, plead guilty. We're just going to plead guilty. And they're like, no, I'm not going to plead guilty. Her son was about to plead guilty. But then she said when she left him that message, the attorney called back. They got him the videotape, and because he had the videotape, now he wants to believe the young man's not guilty.
Well, you know what?
Then he wants to fight. Now he wants to go ahead and represent him in court. I mean, this is real.
Well, you know what? You make some really good points, right? And one of the things that it's a few steps, right? One of the things I encourage fathers to do, right, is to file first, right? Establish that you are a father. Right, you want to continue being in the child's life in spite of you being out of the mother's life, right? Whether you're married or not. So file first, then keep good records. Right. You got to keep. I mean, if it's digital records or if it's written records, keep good records. Right. And if it's that kind of angst, if it's to that level, you have to have an established place where you meet, right? If it's at a police station, I mean, I do exchange at police stations. I'm very open about that, right? When I began, I told my daughter when she was 3, we were going to the Magic Castle, right? So, at a certain point, she told me, she said, "Daddy, I know this is not the Magic Castle. This is a police station." So you have to protect yourself. But what you have to do, you have to walk through the fear, right? Because if you don't, unfortunately, there are some mothers that will use that as a tool, right, or as a weapon, right? But in order to combat that, right, you have to say to yourself, well, I'm going to walk into this fire for my child, right? And so, go ahead.
And see, they don't understand that you're using them as a weapon, but you don't know how you're affecting that child.
And that was going to be my question. So now you guys are working with the children. And what are their input? Because they see this exchange with mommy and daddy. And it's very difficult to walk away from that. And of course, a child is going to normally from just natural take sides with the mom, but it may not always be the mom. And then the child will feel abandoned by the dad because he didn't step up. Right. And that's usually the anger that goes along with that by the time they become teenagers, right? Why didn't you fight for me?
And this is the reason why we have the Fatherhood Circle, because we want them guys to step in and be that father and go through that fire, because then on the other end, they see their kids see that, hey, they went through it for me.
Right. Can you tell our listening Facebook audience where they can reach you? They're asking how they can reach you. Is there a number or email?
Sure. It's a couple of different ways. They can reach us. Our website is www.manhoodcamp.org. Telephone number is 323-596-0933. That's 323-596-0933. And once a month, every fourth Sunday, if you are a father, we are at the Baldwin Hills Mall at the Community Center at I believe it's 3850. Well, it's on Crenshaw Boulevard, Martin Luther King Boulevard. So it's the Baldwin Hills Mall. But
and it's just a correction. It's every fourth Saturday.
Every fourth Saturday.
Yes.
I said Sunday, right? So it's every fourth Sunday. So the next one will be April 28th. But Crystal, you made a point. What effect does it have on the child? Well, I think both parents sometimes don't realize the effects on the child, right? They don't realize that there's two armies standing, lobbying fire back and forth. And what's happening is the debris is falling on the child, right? Falling on the child's psyche, his mind, and the behavior that the child will eventually start exhibiting is the behavior of, it could be the anger that he sees. It could be the resentment. It could be the fear, if there's fear coming from the father, to really engage. It can be disengaging emotionally. So there's a lot. So I think, if I had a magic wand, right, and if I could do anything, I would make parents who fall into this situation realize that what you're doing will so adversely affect the child if you don't make certain changes. Right. Look, everyone's, when you get into a situation and you break up, there's going to be negative feelings. There's going to be things that you feel, but you have to find a way, and it's difficult, but you have to find a way to keep that from the child as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's so important, because when my parents broke up, I was the oldest at the time, but they had been having problems for years. But because they kept that to themselves, that we never knew that. And it wasn't until I think we moved out here when we were 14, and we left him there and we came here. But my sister and brothers, which could have been to my mom's deficit, because when I came, I understood what was happening, and I understood why she had to take us away, because she was actually abused. She was being abused. Yeah. So she picked us up and said, like, okay, I got to get out of here for the best interest of my children. And so, but my sister didn't. She was 2 years younger than I, but she wasn't aware. So then she held that resentment against my mom because she felt my mom had taken her. And it did not change until she got to a place where she was too difficult to handle here. So my mom, since she was craving to be there with her father, sent her back. And then about a year later, she had to go get her and bring her back. But at that point in time, now my sister really understood what was going on, like the rest of us knew what was going on. But it's your child's psyche is so delicate at that age, and now you're forcing them to choose between mommy or daddy. And I don't know who I'm supposed to do, and so now then you have our children that are acting out. And
it should never be that.
I'm so guilty of trying to help a friend yesterday. He found out some disturbing information about his wife, because she didn't present who she really was. To the point where he can't live in the same house with her anymore. But anyway, they argue. She, brand new baby, gets up and takes the baby and goes and takes the baby down to Skid Row. Okay. So, but he goes down to see her and help her, and then the other day she flipped out on him. And I said to him, that baby's brand new. The baby don't know you yet. I said, at this point, you have time. Start your paper trail. Stay away. Get the help you need. And go back to her. Right now, she's not. She's too unpredictable. She's. Do you think that was the wrong advice? No. When the baby's small enough right now, enough to the baby's maybe 2-3 years old.
Well, I think that. I think what he should do is go establish, if they're not married, go establish his parental rights. Right. I tell any father that. I've told Trayvon that. I told my friend, another friend who's gone through the experience. I tell anyone, even if you have a beautiful, a beautiful relationship, and you break up, right? And if you guys break up and exchanging ice cream with one another, this is such a wonderful breakup. After you eat that ice cream, the next thing you do is go down to the court.
All right, Mark.
File your paperwork, right? And it's a 2-part paperwork, right? The first part is you establishing that you are the father, right? And if it's not contested, right, but she's not asking for a blood test, then you're the father. Then the next thing you can do at the same day, file for parental visitation, right? So what I would suggest is that he goes and file and gets his rights, right, and gets some sort of visitation because, the baby's young, and if the mother is doing these erratic things, he's going to want to know that the child is okay.
Right.
So I would suggest that he goes down to court, and if it's about $425, but if he can't do it, he can get a hardship. It's $400. He can get that waived, right? They have a legal clinic down there where he can get some advice, or it also, in addition to that, he can come out on the 28th
he's listening.
Right. Yeah.
But does he need to know her address? She doesn't have a place to live right now. Just get the paper. I tell
just file the paperwork, right? And then he can get someone to serve her. So he will have to find out where she is, right? But once the paperwork is in, right, there's nothing, because she may eventually go and try to file. But then what'll happen is she is now the respondent. Right. He's not the respondent. So he doesn't have to respond to all the negative things and lies that she may say. Right. And that's why I advocate first getting down there, filing first, because when you file, you're not the respondent at this point.
Right.
So you don't have to now go back and backtrack and then first deal with a whole litany of things that you've been lied against. Right. So now she has to respond to, well, this man was in this child's life from day one. He did this, this, and this with the child. And then all of a sudden the child was taken from this man's life.
Right.
You have some explaining to do.
Right. So now you're becoming more proactive.
Now you're proactive. Now you're in the position. Now the court is, and it's, look, in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, it was, if it's the mother, the child goes with the mother. It was an unquestionable thing, right? Unquestioned thing. But now the courts are looking at this differently. Now, especially in California, the thing is, what's in the best interest of the child? What's in the best interest of that child is not to have a mother, just sort of randomly going around Skid Row and keeping them from a good father. Right? That's not in the child's best interest. So it could be that in the best interest of the child, it's to be primarily with the father or with the father and his family. So I would
and I have several friends that's what has happened. But that's a good point. I have a friend that has a young man, his son. Is in college and he's playing ball and has the potential that he could be drafted, and he just recently had a baby. And that's the exact information I gave him. Tell him to go make sure that he is the father. File the papers. Find a lawyer, because if he does get drafted, then it's going to be a whole nother kind of ball game, setting up trust for his baby. And he has the child with him. They split it right now. Amenably. But that's going to change. And it's always going to change if you're not married to that individual and another woman gets involved. It's going to go helter-skelter at that point. Just because the other body is there. So if you protect yourself, and that's what I told him, make sure right now before he signs anywhere on a dotted line, push that off until you get this part here taken.
You have to. I mean, look, he has to know if it's his child first, and if it's his child, he has rights. You know what I'm saying? Rights and responsibility, right? But he has rights. I think,
I might even have his father come to y'all circle.
Bring him on. Bring him here.
We need him on.
Bring him on. One of the things it was mentioned in the course of this conversation about the fear that men have, right? And it's a real fear. It's a fear born, from interaction with the police, since the police was established out of slavery, right? So it's not a fear that I say, hey, why are you paranoid, right?
Yeah, right. No, we got
so that fear is real, but there's a changing tide, right? And if a father can go in, I initially went into court, and at a certain point, I didn't even have an attorney, right? I just stopped bringing, because it was so much money, right? But the court saw that I had a certain determination, right? And one of the things I tell fathers, look, when you go in, you're going to have this wellspring of emotion. Right? There's going to be a lot of feelings. But if you go into court with those emotions, speaking the way you do, right? and especially if you are the respondent, and the mother says that the father's angry, right? And you're going to say, I just want my child, right? Of course, I'm going to say, oh, he is an angry, crazy man.
Right, exactly.
So, there's a certain way you have to approach the court, right? And there's a certain way, but even before you get there, fathers, should know that there's a process. So there's a mediation before you go. So if it is not a bad situation, right, you can establish what you're going to do for the child, and then the court would just sort of sign off on that.
Right.
The judge only becomes involved if there is no agreement, right? So everyone is sent to mediation first, right? Now, some situations, in my situation, my mother's child wouldn't even go into mediation with me, right? She was establishing this narrative that I was this big, mean guy, right? So part of that, to sustain that, she didn't appear in mediation. But normally, both people are in mediation. If they can work that out, when they go in front of the judge says, oh, okay, so you've worked this out. Here you go. So there's different stages to this process. And, if they once they do it, they'll find that it's not as scary as it really is.
I like the fact that you're bringing that piece to it, because we can work with our children.
Sure.
But they got problems once they leave you. Right?
Right.
And when they go back home, they go back into a situation,
right.
and it's mom and dad, but then these people over here are saying this is how I'm supposed to act.
Sure.
But then mom and dad are yelling and screaming at me, or screaming, period. So how do I act? I know I've been involved with kids and working with children for a long time, and when I did my ski program, the kids were with us usually from Thursday or from Friday after school until Sunday when we brought them back. Rarely, we had some parents that would go with us, but I have several parents, and some of my kids were single families. Some of them had two parents. More likely, they had one parent as opposed to two parents. But I do have some parents that have told me that when their kid hit that 13 marker, because that's a real important age for kids, and that when they were having problems at home, they were saying, we wouldn't have made it if my kids didn't know that they had you, and that you were open enough to speak to them and talk to them. And the girls usually rode with me in my truck, and so they would be having conversations and I would be listening. And so when I felt necessary that I needed to have my little input, and they didn't see me as a parent because I didn't have kids, I was just an older sister.
Sure.
Right.
And it's funny you say that, because most of the time a parent could tell the kid something, and then someone that they look up to can tell them the same thing, and they'll go with that before they'll go with their parent, because they think the parent is just there to nag them and get them in trouble.
Do parent things.
Do parent
things.
But it seemed that when we are telling these boys that, this is what you need to do, this is what you should do, they take it better.
They do.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're that village, right? You're the extended family. So the parents I would get Mother's Day cards from most of the mothers. Sure. They were like, oh no, you've been just as much involved in their growing up. And and my kids now, they are all the kids that were in my program, and I had like 49. They all went to college. They're all parents. They're all having their children now. Sorry, it tells me how my age is, but but I had a major impact on their growing up, and I'm very proud of them as if they were my own. Right. And I never had kids, so whenever somebody said you didn't have kids, I said I got 49 kids out there somewhere. And that's just the kids that I work with there. Then the kids that are within the entrepreneurial programs that I do. But I do know being that person on the outside and be willing to get involved so that they at least have an ear that they can have conversations with to help see them through the challenges that they have to go through.
That's in the African tradition, right?
Yes.
I mean, when you talk about village and you talk about, each one being responsible for the other, in some way we're all responsible for each other's children, right?
Yes.
If it's not directly doing an organization like Manhood Camp, it's how you present yourself in front of a child, right? So if you are out there cutting a fool, right, and your child is looking at you like, man, that dude's but he look cool though, don't he? Yelling like that, but he dressed nice though. So maybe this is how I should act or something.
Right, exactly.
So we all have a responsibility, but I think Trayvon said something that was really important, is that at a certain point, they do, when you say something, they do listen to you more. And it is a critical age, right? When you get to that 12, 13, when they start to rebel naturally, and the first rebellion occurs in the home, right? Against the parental figure that's closest to them. Then, guys like us, when they come to us, they say, we'll say, hey, man, you know what, you should, you look like you got some potential in school, man. You better hit them books, right? Oh, man, yeah, that's right. I should definitely do that, right? And then the parent is close by. The parent is probably pulling their hair out. I told this little something. But the truth is that even if a parent was standing there and the message is getting to the child, hey, if it gets to the child that way, then that's fine.
And that's what parents have to recognize, that sometimes you need an outside person to be able to get the point across.
I remember when my grandfather used to tell me a story, and my dad, and he said he used to get in trouble down the street. And he got about 2 or 3 whoopings
on the way home.
He got home.
Yeah, that's how it works.
And then he got a whooping when he got home. So, but a lot of, nowadays, and I don't know where this comes from, but nowadays a lot of parents is like, I don't want you to say nothing to my son. I don't want you to say nothing to my daughter. And I don't want you to even try to think about touching them. Because I remember when I was in, and I don't put my age out there, but when I was in elementary. Well, you look good for your age,
You look young.
So, when I was in elementary, I did something wrong, and I got swatted with a paddle in school, and the teacher used to watch your hand, and they took that all away.
We don't do any of that now. I don't know what I have no children, so but I don't know what these girls are. They're not parenting.
Well,
my girlfriend's 9-year-old daughter told her I didn't want to eat that, and she turned around and made another meal.
Yeah, insane.
I said, what are you doing?
But
I don't want to go with you today. She wanted to go to the gym, and her daughter said, I don't want to go to the gym. So she stayed home from the gym.
Right.
She's 9 years old. How can she tell you? I said, pack her up and take her to the. She has no choice but to go.
Yeah, you going where I go.
I don't know what we're doing.
But I think a lot
legally she has to do it. So
legally you got to do whatever.
If there's no other adult in the home, I think legally she has to do it. But
she was going to leave her at home. I said, you leave her at home, something happens.
Yeah, right.
Then
now you're in trouble,
right?
And I think some of that is because they took when they taught a child to call 911 when they were being paddled, they kind of took your power away.
Right.
And so parents that are really not quite into parenting anyway.
Sure.
There's too much. It's too hard work.
Sure.
Yeah. That's an easy out, right? I was like, they told me I can't hear.
Because my mother be like, call 911. I'm dialing for you.
I think my uncle told my cousin.
They on their way already.
My uncle told my cousin she threatened to call 911. He said, well, I hope you get to the phone before I get to you. Because when they get here, they're going to have a reason to take me to job. Or as my sister always told my nephew, well, this is how it's going to work. You could call 911. And they can come and they're going to take you out the house, not me. And then if they did take me to jail, because they're going to take you and me, but my husband's going to come bail me out and I'm going to come back home.
Right.
But you in the meantime are going to be somewhere else. And I used I was did the accounting for a psychologist. And he did anger management classes, and when the county would come in and take the kids out, so this one kid didn't want to do his homework, so he lied to his teacher and said that his father was abusing him and mean and hard and all that kind of stuff, and was always yelling and hollering at him. So they called Children's Services, which is what the teachers are supposed to do, and they came, took the kid out, put him in a group home.
Right.
And then the dad had to pay to go to anger management, so he was our client, right? And so the kid thinking, okay, well, now I can go back home. And they're like, no, you can't go home until he finishes his course.
Sure.
And then the courts now decide whether or not you can come back.
Sure.
And so that he was counseling both of them.
Wow.
And so by the time he saw that this was a bad decision on his part and backfired, he was like, I want to go home. You can't. You created it. You started the ball to roll because you didn't want to do your homework, and then you didn't want to listen to your parents and obey your parent. That's your job as a child, is to obey your parent.
Right.
So you
that's
created
the only job you have as a kid.
Right.
That's
and so you created this whole thing, and now you're in a group home with some other kids that had some other...
Probably scare you to death because they got real issues in there.
Yeah, they got real issues.
It's... my mother is visiting, and she's staying with us for a while, right? And it's she definitely has a certain way that she parents, right? and she got that from her parents, right? Her parents taught her a child should be seen and not heard, right? And so, she taught me and my brother and my other brother that to a degree, and then she lessened, right? And so I think as we look at like parenting today, right, we have to say, okay, what was good about our parenting experience and what was not so productive, right? And we have to allow for not that truth has changed, because truth is truth. A child should not be disrespectful to their parent. A child should have, should be taught chores because that teaches responsibility. So those things are truth, right? But is it truth that what we learned of everything that we were taught, will that help to propel us, our children, into the future, right? Because there's a certain developmental stages that a child goes through, right? And so a parent has to be able to hit those markers and teach the child properly during those markers. And part of it is about giving freedom, right? And so the child wanted to stay home, right? So of course that freedom can't be allowed because that's against the law, right? But give the child, okay, look, you can't stay home, right? But I'm going here. So you can bring this or you can bring this with you, right? Absolutely. So you giving the child still the experience of learning that they can have, they can still have choice, but they can't just walk off a cliff with that, right? And some parents, they are so dogmatic in their approach, like it's what I say, what I do. And what happens is they create this thing where the child will listen to them for a certain time in fear, but when they hit that 12 or 13 mark, and they get a little bit more meat on them, especially kids.
And especially a boy and his mother.
Right,
because when he gets bigger than she is, then now what are you using to keep him in place?
The last time I got a whooping, my mother, I said something, I think I was 18 or 19. She went and got a broom.
That's the same thing happened to me.
I said, Mama, look. I said, you know what? I just can't do this, Mama. I can't let you sit up here and beat me with no broom.
Sit now.
She said, boy, this is my house. I said, but I respect that, right? And I'm going to stop doing what you asked me to stop doing.
Now.
But I cannot let you beat me with this broom. And I think but that's a reaction, beatings and whoopings, right? Was
how
something.
Old were you?
I think it was 18 to 19. I mean, I was dating.
Well, let me ask you a question.
I didn't tell my girlfriend, hey, look, I can't beat off at this very moment. I got to get beat by this broom. Can we reschedule this date?
So you think at 18 years old is when you can actually say enough is enough, Mom? I mean, I love you, but
I think
respectfully.
I think respectfully, yes.
Be out the house.
Exactly. Yeah, because how do you tell your girlfriend, wow, my mom just beat me with a broom?
So what happened? Well,
I have to ask you guys a question. I can't.
Blood.
We're over at 5. Right?
At 5, yeah.
I gotta ask you guys a question because my friend Deborah is going to kill me if I don't. She's an advocate for drug trafficking. Young girl. She has a nonprofit. She's doing a whole lot in the community. You have something about ending child sex trafficking on your site,
right?
On your website. What is that about?
Well, one of the things that we met in an organization called what is that organization again? That you still work at, man. I can't think of the name. Hathaway, right? So when we were with Hathaway, we work with children, and 3 of the young ladies that I work with became involved in sex trafficking. And so I got involved with actually rescuing 2 of them.
Wait, that's what she does.
And so as we got further into developing Manhood Camp, we actually did a couple of presentations at Audubon and another school, educating youth around that subject matter. And so it's such I'm a father of 3 girls, and so and it's not just girls who get abducted into that as well.
Yeah.
But and it's a $300 billion industry, and so and it's frightening when you think about the avenues and think of how much kids are on the internet, right? And a lot of that occurs there. So it's really just to create awareness around it. We have a site up there of someone organization that deals with rescuing youth. So we have that there. But so that's something that because I went through that experience with these girls. And here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing, right? these girls were the youngest one was 12. She had just turned 12, right? And so when we went to about 3 months before, we were talking. She was talking about baby dolls and stuff, right? And so when we found her, they had her all dialed up. I mean, she was in scantily dressed, everything except her face. That was not made up. There was no makeup on her face. So she looked 12, right? And she was recruited, right? Because she ran away. She went down to the DCFS office downtown, and they have recruiters around there. And she was recruited, right? At first, it was just come hang out, but then it was like, okay, you're going to walk the street. And it was so sad when we went over there and we found her. She looked at me and she said, Mr. Mark, I'm not that little girl anymore.
Goodness gracious.
And I looked in her eyes and I realized she was not that little girl anymore.
Totally destroyed a child's life.
Absolutely.
And that's interesting. Yeah, because that's big right now. There's a little girl this morning, I think it was on the news before I left. She had been communicated, these guys, one from Florida, one from San Francisco, and one from Seattle, and they came here to hook up with her, and they had been communicating with her on like 4 or 5 different chat rooms, places. Something called Kit. I didn't even know that one existed. Snapchat and that kind of stuff. Right. So they've arrested him. So we definitely have to. First of all, parents need to know what your children are doing. Exactly. My nephew is 21 years old, and my sister will go knock on the door. What are you doing? You're not talking to Al Qaeda in there, are you? Like, open up the door. I need to see what you're doing in there. Right. But parents cannot be. This is a very dangerous world we live in. And parents cannot be hands off. You gotta be all up. Like my mother was all up in my business. And you have to be to protect them.
I agree with that.
And it's happening with young boys too.
Oh yeah.
It's happening with young
in
a slightly different way.
Right.
I hear, but it's happening with these kids. These kids that are feeling like they're missing something emotionally and they're looking for
they're vulnerable. So if a man came up to them and because they don't have their father and they're looking for that male role model, right?
Sure. And he has involved with the basketball games and football games.
Right. And he has the wrong idea. He's easily can just because you're needy.
Sure.
And I think I don't want to really bring this subject up, but I think these young girls are getting caught up into the R. Kelly thing. These new allegations that's coming up. It's just ridiculous.
Sure.
Yeah. It's just that's the self-esteem.
Well, look, you talk about how they're recruited, right? There's different types, right? There's like they call them the gorilla pimp, right? Easy to just say, hey, you're going to come do this, right? And then there's the Romeo pimp, right? Yeah. And that guy's like, hey, you know what? Man, what's going on? You look kind of sad, And, you ain't got no fly gear. Why don't you come on over here and let me talk to you for a minute? And then about a week of that, the person is so enamored by that person, right? And then they say, hey, you know what? I just need you to do me a favor. It's nothing big. I got some guys upstairs. I just need you to go up there and take care of them real quick. You do that for me, right? And then they do it. Reluctantly, they'll do it. If they don't do it, they will force them to do it, right? And then the threats come. And when they want to try to leave, look, I know where you live. It's real subtle. The gangs are heavily into that. So get involved with your child. If they have Snapchat, if they have Instagram, then you have that as well. Right? If you want a phone that I pay for, I am going to be your friend, right? And then if I find out that you have another profile, you lose that phone.
Right.
I know even with my niece and my son, like I'd be like, I pay for those phones. Let me see that phone.
Right.
And I go through everything.
Sure.
You have to.
Even when they sleep, they don't even know it. I just take their phone and I go through everything. They can't change their password or anything.
But I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, making your relationship with your kids to the point where they feel comfortable with communicating with you about everything, expressing what's on their mind, and having that conversation, which we don't have with our children.
And I think I referred, and I think you may have spoken to Greg Winston.
Yes.
So his is about that conversation with the parent and the child. Because I think a lot of times a parent needs to know how do we have this conversation, right? So we need to be, and if it needs to be with other people, what have you been doing? But that was my mom's thing was, you can come to me, and she started it when I was like 7 or 8 or 9, just before puberty. Come to me and talk to me about, I don't care what it is. If you're a teenager and you get pregnant, come to me. And talk, and that kind of happened when I was like 17, 18. I was like, okay, you, man, got to come talk to my mother And we got to sit down and have this conversation.
Crystal, you know what?
So we can make a decision.
No, what you're saying is so important, and I think that's, we talk about different styles of parenting, right? From when our parents parented us, versus how we should parent now. When children are exposed to so much, right? You thinking that, I'm not going to have the sex talk with my child before a certain age, right? They are already having that talk in some iteration, right? And so the people ask, when is a good time to talk about sex with your child? One, they probably already had that conversation, but definitely when they ask you. And you have to be able, and sometimes this is not easy as a parent, you have to be open to what they bring you.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to be open to, and you can't shame them.
Right.
You can't make them feel bad. You can't make them feel guilty for having these type of because they're having these experiences. And if you do, I guarantee you what's going to happen is they're not going to come back, Trey. You're right. They're going to go find someone else they're going to talk to. And if they get too hurt, they get too down, they may find themselves in that presence of that Romeo guy that we talked about, right? So in order to, you can't completely just guarantee that it won't happen.
Right.
But Crystal, as you said, like your mother did, right? You have to be open for the conversation.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a father of a daughter, right? My daughter comes in and tells me that she's, at 12 or 13, hey, Dad, I was thinking about, having sex. Now, I'm going to be like, let's talk about it.
Right.
I'm going to try my best.
You said something that's so true, and we got to be open to listen and be ready to receive whatever they tell you, because sometimes they may say the predator might be in the house.
Right.
I don't know if you know Wendy Glandy's story. Her story is amazing. It was her own father who ended up prostituting her out.
You guys want to meet with her because
she's
Wendy,
amazing.
She has an organization for young girls that have been abused, sexually abused, and then she has a conference as well where she brings all the bodies to the table.
Absolutely.
But her story
is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
For years she was telling her mother wouldn't hear. Then she ended up fleeing to her grandmother's house. Grandmother said, "Well, baby, you ain't on the street." The grandmother ignored it. Everybody ignored it.
And that happens a lot.
But then her and her father ended up doing ministry together. Amazing story. So she has a nonprofit about forgiveness. And it's
I would love to.
Amazing.
So I'll make the reference to that, and also Greg, because his book, Barbed Wire Souls, is the same subject matter. And because it's all about the village, right?
It is.
And so Dawn is a fitness trainer, and she's worked with American Diabetes Association. She's an ambassador for young kids with feeling self-esteem and eating right and so forth.
Absolutely.
Work with her.
Love to work with you.
And,
absolutely, Don.
And then I have
we're a fan, just like that guy, Don.
Y'all gonna be calling in next time.
Gonna be calling in. Hey, Don.
We don't know what y'all talking about.
I don't know what y'all talking about. I just want to say, hey, what's up, Don?
Funny.
And I'm doing it this summer, so some of your kids might be I do this every year with the Urban League. It's a youth biz camp. And we take the kids through a 3-week program, and it's July. This is for our audience as well. So from June, the first session is June 13th to the 29th. The kids will be in an all-day camp, and they will learn how to be entrepreneurs. They will create a business, and then they will pitch their business, and then there's a monetary reward, a gain. They're invested $750 into their business. And then our second session is July 9th to the 26th, and it's from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. There is an application process, so you want to get your application in. We have 25 kids per session. The age is between 12 and 18, but if there is a child that you have that already have a business and they're in that 9 to 10-year-olds, we will actually take that into consideration. If they, if they
got something to add to that event.
Yeah, so this event, so if you're interested, reach out to me at cmitchell544@gmail.com, and I'll send you over the application and the flyer. You will find it on our all our social media platforms. It's an amazing event. We've extended it. Actually, I'm one of the certified teachers, and we've extended it to a 3-week camp. It was a 10-day camp, and the kids absolutely
loved it. So
got
you have
a
to
business
give them more, huh?
right, and they got a business plan completed in 10 days.
How many of the teachers do you have there?
So we're certified NIFTY teachers, but we are looking for, you have to be NIFTY certified to teach, but we're looking for volunteers, coaches, mentors.
I'm just asking how many teachers do you have?
2.
2? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we are, so you guys can come out and have, and we can put you on the schedule. You can talk to the kids.
Sure.
So that would be a great conversation.
We would love to.
And then if you have any kids that you know in your program that want to be an entrepreneur,
we actually did the little T-shirt thing about the Youth Life Matters, and they wanted to do that, and they was like, all right, well, we're not going to spend all the money. We'll just go eat, and then we'll invest more into our business.
Sure. Right. So if you have any of them, we'd love to have you. And then if you guys want to look at us doing something, we can find some funding. We can actually put that program in your program, where we can develop them. Because that's the other thing. You know, you make our children feel confident and successful, then all that other chatter and stuff kind of dissipates.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
So wow, we're at the top of our hour. So there was something you wanted to.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I had a great time.
Any parting?
No, hey, look, this is wonderful. Crystal, I congratulate you on this. This is so important. People need to know what's happening out there. They need to be connected to organizations and businesses that can help them. So kudos to you.
And also the owner of the studio, she is actually her goal. She's actually going to teach children how to be podcasters and how to create revenue from that podcast.
That is wonderful.
So we're going to introduce you to Felicia because she's going to start her academy. So that's what the idea is for them to run the studio for her. And she's been in the business for over 30 years.
Cool.
So wow, we're at 5 o'clock. It's been fantastic. You've been a great co-host.
Thank you so much.
And you guys have been great guests.
Thank you for inviting us.
And
love
so
the energy.
What's the event on the 20th?
Oh, the event coming up on the 28th is Fatherhood Circle. Once again, it'll be at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. Community Center. It's on the first floor. That's off of Martin Luther King Boulevard. It's from 11 to 1.
Okay. And
you can find me at Dawn, D-A-W-N, Strozier, S-T-R-O-Z-I-E-R, on all social media.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Dawn. And this weekend, I'm speaking at the Black Writers on Tour in Carson, at the Carson Community Center. We have a convention all day from 9 o'clock in the morning to, I think, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Writers and potential writers and want-to-be writers coming out to find out how you do that and to celebrate. And there's a business expo. So, again, we're supporting Black Business Month this month. So come out and support some of our Black writers out there, buy their books and anything else. Oh, and remember the BCIF Fund. They're having their fundraiser, which is the Black Community Investment Fund. They have funds available to young businesses or small startup businesses in our community, and we are investing in our own. So that's on April 27th. If you want to know more about that, go to their website, which is www.bcif.org, to find out the date and the time and where they're having it. And we're going to say goodbye, and we will see you next Friday. Gilbert will be back. We have 2 more amazing guests next week, and we'll see you then. The Business Zone. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Ooh, yeah. Crystal Mitchell, do you have my business plan? Just review the pages of my marketing plan. Crystal Mitchell, do you have my business plan? Just review the pages of my marketing plan. Got my capability statement, yes, I'm ready to go. Got my balance sheet, my P&L, my statement of cash flow. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Ooh, yeah. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Ooh, yeah. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.